Today's interview is with Blake Anthony Carter. Blake has an inspiring story about how he was deemed homeless with his mum when he was a kid. And unfortunately, this was caused by real estate. His mum got caught up in the 2008-2009 crash, and this led them to being homeless. Well, fast forward to today, he's just recently got back into real estate, something that he always felt passionate about, he says. And he's a real estate agent that's done over 20 deals, that's done his first flip, has bought 4 land deals. Those are some exciting deals, and we talk in detail about those. And just also talks about a non-profit that he set up as well. So really inspiring interview, and with a lot of great information. So stick around for all of that. Hello and welcome to Wrestling with Real Estate, where we look to chokeslam all your real estate problems. I'm your host, former WWE wrestler and now Cirque du Soleil performer, and of course, multifamily real estate investor, Barri Griffiths. Now today we're joined by Blake Anthony Carter. What's up, Blake? How you doing, man?
I'm great, man. I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. We're just having a little chat beforehand, and it's going to be a great conversation today, no doubt. But before we sort of dive into that conversation, do you want to give people more of an idea about who you are and what you've been up to?
Absolutely. My name is Blake, born and raised in Austin, Texas. I actually grew up in and around real estate. My mom was a partner in a really successful mobile home and house flipping business when I was growing up pre-2008. And then 2008, the crash came, and through a series of unfortunate events, kind of lost everything and went through that as a kid. Since that pivotal moment in my life, I've gone on to start a nonprofit that serves the homeless, and really in the last year have brought real estate back into my life. And I do flips, I do land deals, and I'm looking at starting to do some short-term rental deals as well.
So what brought you back to real estate? You said in the last year that you've come back to it. What brought you back to it, you think?
It's always something that I felt comfortable with. I grew up around it. I understood it. But I think when you see someone go through something so difficult and so terrible in 2008, it's hard to imagine yourself doing that. So I would say I really put it off for 4 or 5 years of my life, kind of not wanting to go there, wanting to start some sort of other business. When in reality, I feel like my gut always told me real estate was where I should be, but I just kind of shied away from it out of fear. And really looking back in retrospect, I've kind of learned that the mistakes that were made from my mom and her company in 2008 kind of could have been prevented, right? I think that a lot of people experience that whenever they went through the crash, and I'm blessed that I got to see someone go through that, so I can avert some of those crises myself.
Yeah, I think it's awesome that you able to, because I think a lot of people are still scared now, right? They have that PTSD, right? From that. I've spoken to a lot of people, and they say, no, real estate's not for me, and not again, right after the last thing. And I think, not that I'm aware of your mother's situation, but I think a lot of people, they over leverage and they didn't do real estate the right way, right? And I think that's an unfair reflection of real estate, right? Real estate can be a really good investment, but it can be really terrible as well if you don't do it the right way and have the right precautions and understand what you're getting yourself into. And it's just like anything else, right? If you study, do it right, understand it, you have way more chance of being successful. So I'm glad you're back, man, because I'm like you. I think it's without doubt the best investment vehicle that's out there for me personally.
Yeah, 100%.
So when you came back, it seems like you've done quite a lot in a year. How did you first get back, and what did you first start with when you got back into it?
So whenever COVID happened, really, it gave me time to sit back and think about my goals, and I think that happened to a lot of us. And we had time and we had space to kind of think about these things in our life for the first time. And I had all these things I wanted to do. I had all these things I wanted to accomplish that I hadn't even come close to accomplishing yet. And I don't know, I suppose you kind of get that pressure in your chest, like, I need to do something. I need to create something out of my life. And obviously, you know, I had started the nonprofit at that point. Forgive, that's my dog. Hey, cut it out. And so I had started the nonprofit at that point, but I hadn't really done anything as far as an income producing career. I worked in apartment leasing for a long time and kind of worked my way up as much as I could, but it's kind of not. I mean, you can only do so much in that sort of a career. And then whenever COVID hit, I was like, I need to go all in on this real estate thing. It's in my heart, it's in my gut. I understand it, and started investing my money actually in the stock market whenever stocks crashed, and did really well. Just because when it's only going up, you're going to do well, right?
Yeah.
So I ended up doing really well with the stock market. Eventually sold everything, and just have put that all back into real estate. So I have done 3 land deals, basically just meaning that I've bought land. I have 2 pieces of land near the beach here in Texas that I plan to develop at some point, probably within the next 1 to 2 years. I'm still kind of learning the nuances of that. And then I have a piece of land out here in San Antonio. It's in a small town outside of San Antonio. And then I recently got into flipping homes. I've always understood flipping homes. I just need to have the balls to do it, because it is scary. And obviously I saw my mom go through the crash. But I partnered on my first flip. I was basically just like a financial partner. Hey, I'll bring the money. Teach me your ways. Like show me the ropes. And since then, we sold that flip, and I'm now doing a flip on my own. And I'm also looking at another unit to purchase for a short-term rental. So that's kind of where I'm at now. Really, my long-term plan is I want to get as many income-producing properties as I can. So like I said, I want to develop on those pieces of land on the beach, because they're prime spots for Airbnb. And then I'd like to get some more short-term rentals and even long-term rentals here within the next year, really.
Cool, man. Yeah, you've done quite a bit in a year, to be fair, along with as well, when I was reading your bio, that you've done 20 transactions as an agent, right? That's that's a lot of work. My wife's an agent here in Vegas, so I understand that. That's not an easy task, right? To get to that kind of number. So that's really cool. But you talked there about the land deals. That's interesting to me. We don't have too many people talking about land. Why land? And how did you sort of discover land investing? Did your mom teach you, or did someone else kind of guide you that way?
No, I had made this money in the stock market, and I was at that point scared to leverage my money with a loan. And I got a really good deal on some land that came across my email from a wholesaler, and I purchased it. And that was it. I really just wanted to find something to do with my money that I had made. And after I did it, actually came out to be a really good deal. The land was at about 60-70% value, and it's in a prime location. It's in Holiday Beach in Rockport, Texas. It's just a small town on the beach, and great fishing, great restaurants. People love the area, and so yeah, it just kind of fell into my lap. I just needed something to do with this money, and I was a little bit scared, honestly, to buy a house. And so land made sense. I knew if I held it, eventually it would go up. So I kind of looked at it as something that I could build some equity in. But now that I've kind of got my juices flowing and kind of understanding what I want to do with this real estate thing, now I'm looking at developing on that thing.
For people who don't understand, how do you value land? You said you got a deal at 60 to 70% of what that land might have been worth, but it's, land, to my understanding, is not like residential, right? Where you've got 10 comps in a mile radius, right? Where you can understand the value of that property, right? Or in multifamily, the NOI, right? The net operating income, where you can figure out what the cap rate is and get the value from that. How do you value land? Is it on the comparable? But there's probably not too many, every land is kind of different.
Every land deal is different. Every land deal I've ever seen is a little bit different. So kind of understanding the value, it can get pretty nuanced. I'm lucky though that in Holiday Beach, there are several lots that have been subdivided. And so you get a really good idea of what the value per acre is. And that's kind of how I personally look at it, the value per acre. And, you know, I bought I think I bought one of the lots for, I want to say 12 grand. And at the time, lots were selling for like 19, 20 grand. And I really didn't even know that. I just want to put my money out there. So I'm lucky that I didn't get screwed over. But since doing that, I've learned so much, like you're saying, about land, how to assess land. When I bought the piece of land out in Bandera, that was a little bit more nuanced because you have to take into consideration how close is this to the highway. You know, how much clearing do I have to do? Do I have utilities? Do I have access to set up utilities? A lot of that kind of comes into play when you're looking at land deals. But the first one I bought, I just kind of got lucky. I'm not gonna lie.
But the first one was subdivided, so there was utilities, so everything was there ready to go. Essentially, you didn't have to do any. Okay, so it's just you develop it from there. So
and I'm sorry, the one I got in Bandera, we're having to clear that out ourselves, and get utilities set up over there ourselves. The one in or the two pieces of land I bought out in Rockport, those were already subdivided. Utilities were set up for us.
Right. Do you have a preference? Do you get a better deal, I guess, if you do the work yourself, I guess?
Absolutely. Yeah, we got a really good deal just because the land wasn't cleared. Obviously, it takes a little bit more work, and you have to put a little bit more cash into it to get the land cleared. Really, I think it just depends on the deal. I was lucky that the wholesaler that I was working with was able to get me that good of a deal. Just really by luck of the draw.
And will you do more land deals, or do you have enough? That's, 4 pieces of land is pretty good, right? That's a lot of development to be done. Are you still looking, or are you still going to be more focused on developing those pieces?
I don't want to buy more land until I really understand the development piece of it. So I'm going to keep this land, and my plan is to, like I said, within the next 1 to 2 year, start developing really these Airbnb projects. That's kind of what I'm seeing, because they're in great vacation spots. The location for the land I was telling you about outside of San Antonio is in a place called Bandera. Beautiful hills, small town nearby. Not great for a long-term rental because not a lot of people live there, but there's a ton of like cool like teepee places or the igloos, and you have all this like hiking out there. It's one of those areas, so it'd make for a great short-term rental.
That's pretty cool. So you build it with being a short-term rental in mind. So that's kind of cool. You can kind of design it better than to be, obviously bigger rooms, maybe rooms where you can fit more bunk beds and, all that kind of stuff that's designed for short-term rentals. That's kind of cool. I've never heard of that before, but that's actually a great idea if the location provides that. So you also did your first flip, and I think it's really smart what you did, right? You didn't necessarily fully understand the process and you wanted to learn. So you said you went to an experienced flipper, is this right? And then you said, hey, let me bring the money and we can do the deal together and we'll share the profit, right? Exactly.
Yeah, I had made the money, and I, again, was a little scared with my money. And I hate admitting that because, as someone who wants to make money, you need to take risks, right? Yeah. But I was really risk averse starting out. And so I needed someone that I could trust. And that really just came through meeting people, inviting people out to coffee or for a quick phone call, and just getting my name out there, going to networking meetings. A lot of them were virtual, obviously, because we were in the COVID world. And eventually made a good connection with a local investor. I said, hey, this is kind of what I'm looking at doing. I have money to do this. I don't really have the experience nor the connections to get it done. I'd love to partner with you on a deal. We found a deal, and I brought the money. He brought all the knowledge and expertise. It worked out for both of us, and learned a ton. Made a good return, and was able to put that into this next flip that I'm doing right now.
Nice. So, and how active were you on that first deal? Was it just a case of you put the money up and that was it, or were you on the job site every week? Were you involved in the renovations? Like, how active were you on that deal?
I was 100% as active as I could be, right? So I was there at least once a week, calling my friend, calling him pretty much as often as I could to just kind of ask him questions. What do we do in this situation? What's next after this? do we want to use this contractor for this? Like these little nuanced questions that you don't think about when you're initially buying a property that just kind of come up in the process, right? And so it was great to have him there. I was involved the entire way, and that's the beautiful thing about finding someone that you can trust. And I was really nervous to find someone to just give them my money. But I was able to have someone that I had a good connection with, that I could trust, that trusted me, that we worked together well. And that really is key, because they were my partner, right? And they could have took my money and ran, or they could have screwed me over. It could have been a terrible deal. Who knows? But luckily I was able to find someone that was able to take care of me, answer all my questions, be there for me when I needed them.
Well, yeah. Well, first and foremost, I think that's a brilliant idea, right? I think, we can all find a mentor or someone that's willing to help us over the phone or whatnot. But
Sure.
if you find someone that has a vested interest in the deal with you, right? They're going to make, if you make money, they make money, right? They're going to take the time to answer that phone call, to answer that text, to go over stuff with you, right? Because it's benefiting them. They're making money from it. So essentially you're paying them to do it. But the brilliant thing is you're getting an education, you're getting a return. Hopefully if the flip goes well, you're making a return at the same time. But that education piece that you're getting from that person is just invaluable, because like you said, there's so much gray, right? You can read so much books, read so much forum posts, read so much articles, listen to podcasts, but there's so much gray in real estate. And not to scare anyone, it can be learned, and there's answers for everything, but there's so much gray, right? And it's always good to have someone there that can answer that question, where it's like it's in between the lines almost, where you need the answers for that. And that's awesome. Tell us about the deal itself then, kind of how you guys found it, how much work you needed, and how it went.
Yeah, the deal was brought to us by a wholesaler. He ran it across me. He showed me the numbers. And it made sense to me. So I said, let's do it. It was a deal out in Killeen, Texas, another small town, lots of small towns in Texas. And it was a pretty straightforward process, honestly. He found the deal. He showed me the numbers. I brought the money for the points and for the down payment. And yeah, I mean, we were kind of off to the races at this point. He gave me all the contacts for his contractors. He introduced me to them, so I was able to build relationships. Really brought me a lot of value. It was really awesome. And the deal took about, I want to say 8 weeks for the entire renovation. Wasn't too terrible. And nothing really crazy happened. We had a burst pipe that was solved quite easily. No real water damage. Yeah, man, I mean, I've been very blessed that I haven't had huge hiccups or these big road bumps. I'm sure, of course I will, right? And I went through plenty as a kid, but yeah, I've been very lucky in my path right now that everything has gone very well for me.
Yeah, well, and you mentioned it there. I think I know, but how did you finance this deal?
Hard money, yeah.
Okay.
So hard money, 10% down, 2 points. Interest rate was 10%, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah. So not the best terms, not the worst terms, but we got the deal done, and yeah.
Did that include renovation budget as well?
Yes.
So it was loan to cost. Okay, nice. And was that through the guy that you partnered as well? That was his connection, a hard money lender. So exactly. there wasn't because a lot of times with hard money lenders, it can be challenging when you're getting your first deal as a flipper, right? Because they want to see a track record a lot of times, right? So you were able to use his track record? Is that how you were able to do that?
Exactly. I was able to use his track record, and I was then able to use my track record at that point. I had done a deal on this next deal that I'm doing now. So I was able to get, better terms than I probably would have just being a newbie investor at that point. On this next deal, I actually got 100% financing across the board, 100% purchase, 100% rehab.
Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that.
No. Yeah. Are you doing this one by yourself, or are you partnering with the same partner again?
This one's by myself.
Okay.
I absolutely intend on partnering with him again. But I think for my own, I guess personal satisfaction and goals, I wanted to know that I could do it myself. So the deal I'm doing now, it's in another small town. It's in Bertram, Texas, and it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. We are converting it to a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, adding about 500 square feet, and we'll kind of see where I'm at. I'm actually considering refinancing and keeping this one, but we'll see. I'm not exactly sure. The renovation will be done in about 3 weeks, and the sales market right now is nuts to where I know if I put it up, it would go quick. But it is an awesome area. I know the equity in Austin's just going to go crazy, and I'm really here for the long term.
Yeah, how are you guys adding 500 square feet? Just building it out? How are you doing that?
So in this home, like I said, it's a 2-1. It's in a historic district of the town, and basically it's a 1950s home that there was a carport originally. The previous owner had enclosed the carport connecting to the house in some weird, funky way. Anyways, it actually adds a lot of space to the home. So we're just bringing that up to code, adding some windows, putting some drywall in, making it look nice. Oh, and adding a bathroom in there as well. We've already got we've already got all the permits and everything. Construction's already started, and we should be done soon. This is another one of those projects that this has actually had a little bit more hiccups because it's such an old home, 1950s, kind of having to navigate my way around like the really old plumbing and electrical. So that has been really difficult. I didn't experience that in the last house, but it's been a lot of fun too. I'm lucky that I have some really good people by my side to kind of help me navigate through those situations.
Yeah, how do you do that? Do you just have good plumbers, good electricians that you're able to trust and be there and learn from them as well, and you just rely on them?
So the contractor that I have on the job is incredible. They are just a wealth of knowledge, and I met them after interviewing several contractors. I did a lot of due diligence on that side, because I've seen a lot of really bad situations, as we all have with contractors. There's just a lot of shadiness in that industry for whatever reason. And met these guys. They were professional. They used high-end technology. They didn't ask for a deposit of any kind. Like really, really professionally, really smart. And they did most things in-house. And I really, really liked them. They weren't the most expensive. They weren't the least expensive. They were easily the people I felt the most comfortable working with. So they have walked me through, I mean, any situation that we've gone through with the plumbing and the electrical, figuring these things out, navigating, and I trust what they say. And obviously, I suppose it'd be a little naive for me to say I completely trust everyone like that 100%. But I mean, finding a contractor like them and having someone you can trust, doing your really good due diligence on your contractors that you work with, it's worked incredible for me in my favor.
Yeah, that's you found one of the rare ones, right? I speak to a lot of people,
absolutely.
And it's unfortunate. And I was actually speaking to a contractor earlier, and I was asking him, "Do you get annoyed with the reputation that the contractors get?" And he said, "No, because it actually helps me. I know I'm a good contractor, so all the bad ones help me seem even better." But it really is a rare thing that you find such a great contractor. So congrats. But maybe talk us through the process of how you went and did your due diligence. What kind of stuff were you looking for? You told us what you liked about this company, but before you started out, what kind of questions were you asking? What kind of stuff were you looking for to help you do that due diligence? Because that's a huge part, right? If you can find, as you're attest to, if you can find a great contractor, man, it makes your life a lot easier.
It does, and they have. And I actually figured out how I wanted to interview these contractors through another podcast that kind of detailed how you should interview contractors, what to look for. And these guys really fit the bill. I talked to several contractors before hiring one, probably 10 to 12, that were either referred to me or I just found off of Facebook. Talk to them on the phone, ask them questions like, what all do you guys do in-house? What do you subcontract out? I suppose how many projects do you work on at once? Do you have a team? Things like that, questions like these. And then looking at the technology that they use, the second I met these guys and they were bidding on my project, They were using like really, really high-end technology, much better than I would say 90% of the people that I actually met with. And that makes a real difference. It shows you right there that they're willing to invest in their company, and they're legit, and they talk well. They're really smart. They have a whole team. They have an office team, everything, the whole nine. And they didn't speak in vague terms. I think that a lot of times when I've met with contractors, they speak in these like vague, like maybe we can do this, maybe we can do that, but they really walk me through it in like specific details of like, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it. And if I ever provide any feedback, they had really straightforward, constructive answers that made a lot of sense. And I wasn't left wondering like, what is this going to look like when it's done? I'm yet to experience that with these guys. Any sort of confusion on the job, any sort of like, what am I paying for? Any sort of, what is this going to look like? That's probably what impressed me most, was their concrete ability to really portray the project and what made a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Sounds like it's going to be a cool project. When is it supposed to be done? You said the next few weeks.
Yeah, in about 3 weeks.
Nice one. Well, I'll have to follow up with you and hear that about how that goes for sure.
Yeah.
But you also said, so you're also a real estate agent, right? And that's an interesting mix to both be an agent and be investing as well. How did you did 20 deals in your first year? Is that true, or up to this point?
20 deals. So that includes some leases as well. But I was just trying to get as many people in front of me as I could. I think with doing that amount of deals in a year, it just, especially for it being my first year, the reason I was able to pull that off is through connections, and it's through meeting people. I was born here, so you kind of have a leg up when you're born somewhere and you have that network. But even before I became a real estate agent, I was always meeting with people, getting coffee, getting on phone calls, just meeting people for lunch or helping people move, just kind of doing these things, getting my face out there, building some sort of social leverage with people. And when I became a real estate agent, it's such a people business that I was kind of able to just fall upon this network that I had built with no intention. Like, I was just out here building value years before I became a real estate agent, because I knew eventually I was going to do some sort of business where I needed people to back me, right? So I needed people to like me, and I'm lucky that I had the nonprofit, so people think I'm an amazing guy off the bat, and so people trusted me. So when I became a real estate agent and started doing that, people felt comfortable coming to me. We already had an established relationship, and it's been awesome. It happened a lot quicker than I expected.
Yeah, well, congratulations on that, man. And you kind of brought me to my next question is tell us about your nonprofit and how you got involved with that, and kind of, sort of what you were telling me beforehand before we started recording.
Yeah, we talked about it briefly before we started, but basically the story goes, when I was a kid, there was a period of time where it was my mom and I, and we were essentially deemed homeless. We had unstable income and unstable housing, and we were living on people's couches. We were sharing a room here at some random person's house. And it was, looking back, a really wonderful experience to have gone through. And it happened because of real estate, as we mentioned. And basically, once we were out of that situation and we wanted to be able to give back, we started this tradition on Thanksgiving where we would just cook an entire meal. And because we don't like Thanksgiving food, my mom and I, we would just go and give it all out. And that started up. We did it year after year. Eventually, people wanted to join us. People would bring food. People would bring their friends. And it became a whole event that we would do on Thanksgiving. And it was a lot of fun. We looked forward to it every year. And when I graduated high school, I kind of said, we didn't make this a real thing. People really love doing this with us. So we started holding 2 to 3 events like that a year. We would go out and have people volunteer and bring donations, and we would go through Austin and feed the homeless. Eventually, we learned that they have access to food. What they really need is things like deodorant, toothpaste, clothing, and also resources to jobs. There's a lot of nonprofits in the area that serve the homeless in really large and impactful ways that they're just not aware of, right? And so we started giving out care packages that had all these things. They got a nice bag. They were full to the brim with donations, soap, like I said, the toothpaste and the shampoo and sunscreen and chapstick, clothing. So we've been doing that for the past few years now. We've actually given out over 2,500 care packages over the past few years to Austin's homeless. In the past 2 years, we've officially become a real 501c3 nonprofit. We formed a board. We have a full board. We have committees. Like, we're doing the thing, right? And we've brought on several more programs. So the name was initially Blake's Plate, after me, and we have since changed it to Serve Inspire, which acts as an umbrella organization for different programs that we want to have to create a bigger impact in the city and eventually in other cities. So we have the Blake's Plate program, which is where we put together the care packages. It's more of our general outreach program. We have a homeless youth initiative, which is like a big brother, big sister program for kids that are deemed homeless. And then we have a, what is it called? Feed It Forward. There you go. We go and we meet these families one-on-one. We feed them a meal, just like a really nice meal, and we give them money for groceries that'll last them about a month. Just something really nice. And then we're also starting a program called Coffee with a Counselor, which is going to provide free mental health services to those who otherwise would not be able to afford it.
Wow, that's awesome. I told you before, that's really inspiring and really powerful. So thanks for sharing all that, man. That's really awesome. And if anyone wants, is there a website that they can go to donate or if they want to volunteer or anything? Like, what is that?
Yeah, check us out. It's serveinspire.org, serveinspire.org.
Okay, awesome. I'll go check that out myself as well. But as this show is called Wrestling with Real Estate, I like to incorporate some wrestling-related real estate questions. So the first question is, what would your wrestling name be?
My wrestling name would be, goodness gracious. I would say, Smiley.
Okay.
I like that one. That was my name in high school because I was always smiling.
Okay, that's a good nickname. Smiley. So every wrestler has a special move. What is your special move in real estate?
Relationships with people, being able to connect with various types of people, understanding people's emotions, understanding what makes people tick, and persistency.
Awesome. What's been the biggest body slam you've taken in your real estate investing career?
Biggest body slam I've taken or I've given?
Either or.
Biggest body slam that I've taken happened to me when I was a kid when we lost everything during the crash. That's easily the biggest body slam I've taken. Biggest body slam I've given was probably my first land deal where I feel like I just kind of fell into a good deal. A good one too, this actually isn't real estate related, but I think I mentioned it. What got me into like being able to allocate funds towards real estate was doing really well in the stock market when the stock market crashed. That's kind of what jet fueled this entire thing for me. So that as well.
Yeah. Do you invest in the stock market at all now, or have you taken all your money and you decided that real estate is what you want to be?
I have some long-term investments in the stock market.
Okay.
I was doing like day trading. I thought I was good, but in reality, like it was just going up for months and months. And so I wasn't like really actually good in anything, but I was doing like day trading. I was selling and buying here. I don't think I'm actually skilled in it though. I wouldn't give anyone advice by any means. But yeah, no, I do have some long-term investments I have.
Did you get involved in GameStop?
No, I was out of the market by then.
Okay.
Sadly.
Yeah, that was crazy. So was there a moment that you were standing on the top rope getting ready to jump, but you were too scared? What was it and how did you overcome it?
Yes. Like I told you, I wanted to get into real estate for a long time, but I was scared because of what I had gone through as a kid. And I think that would be my moment of being too scared to jump. For so long, for so many years, I was scared to actually take action because I knew there was a risk that I could lose it all. But in reality, even if I lost it all, I would still just start over, right? I mean, what's the worst that could happen? And so now that I'm actually taking action, I see that a long time ago I should have just made the jump and just gone for it.
Yeah. Great advice. Yeah, especially when you're so young as well, right? You have plenty of time to sort of recover from anything that does go wrong. Well, man, thank you for making the time. It's been a really fun interview. But before we go, can you tell people where they can find you, how they can get in touch with you, all that good stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Get in touch with me on Instagram. That's where I'm at the most. Blake.Anthony.Carter. And then Facebook as well, Blake Anthony Carter. My email is blakedoesrealestate@gmail.com. I want to talk to all the people and just kind of get to know people as much as I can, see how I can help you, see how you can help me. blakedoesrealestate@gmail.com.
Perfect. And I'll include all that in the show notes. But Blake, thanks so much, man, for sharing your story and everything that you've been up to, the success in quite a short period of time that you've had, and no doubt the biggest success that you're going to go on to from here. So I appreciate you taking the time, man. Have an awesome rest of your day.
Thank you, Barry. You as well.